What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters. Welcome to Live to Metal. Second video of the day, but I wanted to get a long-awaited edition of What's Spinning Out. I haven't done one in a while, just been doing other stuff, showing other things, and I've had a few people request them. I guess I haven't done one from the car in a long time, so I'll do one of those shortly, but for now I'm going to do what I've been listening to, you know, vinyl-wise, in my room, in my sanctuary, whatever you want to call this here, which I've been spending a lot of time in because I've been running my new business out of this room. So in any case, let me get right into it. First up, I've been working quite a bit on some re-releases of this band's material, so of course I've been listening to their music as well. This is Barnabas, and this is their fourth album, Field of Fire, as well as their third album, Approaching Light Speed, 1983, I believe, and 84. Yep, 83 and 84. Just straightforward, hard rock, almost, you know, early 80s heavy metal sounding. At times it definitely is heavy metal sounding, and I know that that's kind of the sound they were going for. This band had struggled for years coming around in the late 70s, trying to find a label. Their first album came out on a very small Canadian label, but it was just, you know, more straightforward hard rock, definitely out of the 70s. And at that time, this band was told that the music's too crazy, the music's too out there, no one's going to buy it. So finally they got a label in Canada to pick them up, and even that label was asking them, tone it down, tone it down, tone it down. But instead of toning it down, they went from two, you know, very good hard rock albums to two albums that I would describe as early 80s heavy metal. And that's what you get here with Field of Fire and Approaching Light Speed. And both are great female vocalists, Nancy Jo Mann, and I just really enjoy this band. If you're into that, you know, early 80s style heavy metal or late 70s style heavy metal, female vocals, you probably would enjoy Barnabas. Definitely a Christian band, Christian lyrics, but most of the lyrics are very well thought out. You're not going to hear, you know, rock for the rock type of things. They deal with social issues and, you know, those kind of things as well. Very good albums from Barnabas. Next up, this is ANGELUS. I can never pronounce this band's name right. Part of the new wave of traditional thrash metal. ANGELUS APATRIDA, I believe is how you say it. This band is from Spain. They were formed, I believe, in like 2000, 1999, 2000 or so. Might have been 2001, somewhere in that area. They have like 5 or 6 albums out. I have 2. This is The Call, which is from 2012. But I have on other one of their albums too, a newer album that's very good. I'd love to find their older stuff as well, but this is fantastic thrash metal. I'm talking machine gun riffing, I'm talking aggressive vocals, I'm talking aggressive songwriting, a pounding rhythm section that just, you know, want to rip your skull off. It's just great thrash metal. And I apologize for the crazy glare I'm getting today, but ANGELUS APATRIDA, The Call, and fantastic thrash metal from Spain. And we're skipping from thrash metal all the way over to classic rock. KERRY LIVGRIN, his first solo album. Of course, KERRY LIVGRIN coming from Kansas fame, and then after this he would form AD. But this album has always been one of my favorites from KERRY for a couple reasons. It's a good album, very good music, very progressive at times, but it also features one of my favorite vocalists on 2 tracks, Ronnie James Dio, who sings on The Mask of the Great Deceiver, which is by far one of my favorite songs ever. And what's the other song on here he sings on? To Live for the King. 2 great songs. Dogs barking in the background, my apologies. But yeah, just the whole album. Whiskey Seed is another standout track from here. This was on the Kirshner label, the same label that was putting out, I believe, Kansas at the time. And I forget the year on this thing, 1980. So very good album. If you're looking for everything by Dio, you got to get this one as well. It's not that hard to find on vinyl. A little harder to find on CDs from what I understand, but Seeds of Change by KERRY LIVGRIN. You might have seen me show this one in the a mail update real recently. This is Metal for Breakfast, a compilation that I've been looking for forever, and I love these compilations. I don't know why, I just do. Of course, I listened to this one several times already, and where else are you going to find a compilation that features Razor, Evil Invaders, on the same album that has Kim Mitchell, Go for a Soda. You know, yeah, Kim Mitchell, not metal, but still, it's a good song. I like it. Kim Mitchell kind of had the respect of the metal community for his part in Max Webster. So I'm sure that's what the inclusion was on here. That's just a pop rock song. I mean, Huey Lewis could have recorded Go for a Soda, you know, that kind of stuff. But regardless, great album. It's got Aerosmith, Back in the Saddle, Quiet Riot, Metal Hell, Judas Priest, Love Bites, Lee Aaron, Barely Holding On, Crocus, American Woman, Rush, 2112 Overture, Ted Nugent, Free For All, Kick-Axe, Hellraisers, one of their heavier songs, Dio, The Last in Line, Y&T, All American Boy, and of course Razor, Evil Invaders. So since I had to play that one, of course I had to play Metal for Breakfast as well. Hadn't spun it in a while, gave this one a spin. Very similar playlist with musical style being all over the place. You've got Anvil Forged in Fire, opening track, Ted Nugent, Cat Scratch Fever, Killer Dwarfs, Heavy Metal Breakdown, Accept Balls to the Wall, Merciful Fate, Black Funeral, Blotto, Metalhead, Lee Aaron, Metal Queen, Saxon, Princes of the Night, Judas Priest, The Ripper, Quiet Riot, Metal Health. Why that's on both, I don't know. Y&T, Mean Streak, and Ozzy Osbourne, Crazy Train. So there you go. Metal for Breakfast, Attic Records, Canadian record label. This band, I've shown some of their stuff in my recent New Wave of Traditional Heavy Metal update. I was listening to a lot of their stuff, kind of trying to figure out which one I wanted to show, which one was my favorite. This is the one I almost picked as my favorite. This is, this is one you just, it's unpronounceable really. It's Subversivism or something like that. You got V's instead of U's in most of the songs, but this is awesome. And this is actually the album that turned me on to these guys big time. Good friend of mine from Portugal sent me this album, and man, I just got into this band big time and have bought everything I could find from them ever since. New album coming out. Great band, kind of a Merciful Fate influenced sound. Very, very cool vocals. Sometimes going into those high vocals like you would hear from Merciful Fate or King Diamond. But definitely their own animal. They don't sound like any other band. They just have those influences. So Ram, Subversivism. I think this was 2016 or 15, somewhere in that area. Another new wave of traditional heavy metal band. I've listened to a lot of this stuff in preparation for that video. This is a band that I probably should have included in that video, but this is Night Demon. Great band. I just thought that, you know, most people know Night Demon, so I was just like, same thing with Enforcer. I didn't show Enforcer either. Another great band. White Wizards, another one I didn't show. I just kind of, those bands are kind of more popular, more well known. I was trying to show some of the ones that weren't quite as well known in that video, but I did pull out Night Demon, give this album a spin. This is their latest, 2017, Century Media Records. This is limited pressing of 500, I think it says on here. 500 copies on silver vinyl. I'm sure there's more than that out there. It's just 500 on silver vinyl. Again, traditional heavy metal, galloping riffs, great guitar solos, excellent vocals, just everything I love about, you know, traditional heavy metal. So going back to the 70s, Uli Roth era Scorpions. This has become, if it hasn't always been, but one of my favorite Scorpions album. But I would even pick this as my favorite Scorpions album. I love In Trance. There's just not a song on here that doesn't rock my world. I mean, you've got great metal, heavy metal, real metal from the 70s, and songs like Robot Man and Dark Lady. But then you've got the I don't even know, the melodic, heavy vibe of the title track. I love the title track of the song. And the vocals are incredible. Just nothing about this album that I don't like. Uli Roth sings a few songs. Uli Roth has that kind of, I kind of put him in the same category as like Joe Perry and Ace Frehley in Can't Sing, Don't Care style vocals. It just works for them. I mean, they really can't sing. It's not their, you know, their milieu, I guess. But somehow it works for them. And I love Uli, just like I like Ace and Joe. So great guitar player. Always like this album. This is the original pressing on RCA from Germany, and yeah, this is has the offending breast. Unfortunately, mine. Well, I should say unfortunately, mine is covered by Uli Roth's signature, but mine has Uli Roth's signature. So there you go. Got to meet him last year, and man, what a nice guy. This is a test pressing. I've shown this one before, but I'm going to show it again because I have listened to this one over and over again. This is the new vinyl reissue of Fear Not's album. Man, this is a great album. I think the vibe of like a heavy Slaughter mixed with early I want to say Great White, but no, not Great White. I don't know. A lot of people say Slaughter. I kind of more like a Skid Row, you know, because it's got that edge to it. It's got the gravelly vocals. And I don't know. This is just a great release. Fear Not. If anybody's interested, this I wasn't really trying to make this a commercial, but I always have people ask me where can I get it from. Rocks Productions. You can go to their website and they have it up for pre-order. They have, I believe, 100 on purple vinyl and 200 on black vinyl available. The first so many orders also get this poster. This is actually a poster, not the cover. This poster is comes for free if you do the pre-order. After exiting Metal Church, David Wayne, vocalist David Wayne, formed Reverend with basically the rest of the guys from Heretic. Slipped my mind for a second there. So you've got Heretic with a new vocalist in David Wayne, and of course Heretic's vocalist at the time, Mike Howe, went into Metal Church. So it was kind of a weird reversal of vocalists. But if you're into that early Metal Church stuff or early Heretic stuff, this EP is just fantastic. If I did, you know, my top 10 favorite EPs, this one would be up in that top 10 list for sure, right along with Queensryche's EP. This is fabulous heavy metal. David Wayne never sounded so good. Excellent record, and honestly, I like all the reference material, but this EP has still always been my favorite, and probably will always be my favorite from them because, well, David Wayne's gone, so there won't be any more Reverend, but of the stuff they released, it's just phenomenal. All 4 tracks are perfect. A couple more to go here. This is, excuse me, I've been trying not to do that on video, but allergies drive me crazy sometimes. Second album from More. New wave of British heavy metal from the early 80s, More. Major label release, 1982 on Atlantic Records. Kind of AC/DC-ish with a bit more British metal influence, but very, very good album from More. This album is a bit beat up. The record's in perfect, plays perfect, so I don't really care. But the cover's a little beat up, as you can see. It's got some damage here in the bottom, and that makes a big deal to some people. I don't really care all that much. Promo copy. No big deal. If I ever find a replacement copy, you know, I will get one. But regardless, I kind of didn't know anything about this band until just a couple years ago. I'm not sure how I missed them. I mean, I was a huge new wave of British heavy metal fan back in the 80s, just buying up every kind of thing I could find from them. And then, you know, Venom and Raven and Def Leppard and Diamond Head, you know, all those different bands. I was just buying stuff up on this. How did I miss one on a major label that actually had a release in the U.S.? Somehow I missed them. 2 albums is all they released. Both of them are very good. More new wave of British heavy metal band. Like I said, 1982 was this one. Kenny Cox, that's the guitar player's name. That's the guy on the front cover here. Last one for this edition of What's Spinning. One of my favorite guitar players from Canada. This is Frank Marino. Not a Mahogany Rush album. This was his second album without the Mahogany Rush band backing him up. This was a record label and a management company pushing him to go heavier, much like Aerosmith, Ted Nugent, and the like were doing in the 70s. Bands like Aerosmith and Ted Nugent were major headliners in the mid-70s. I mean, these guys were pulling in, you know, thousands and thousands of fans and filling coliseums up with people. And they had the same management team that was doing Aerosmith and Nugent and some of those other bands from that time period, and they were also managing Frank Marino, so they were kind of pushing him to do a heavier album, and that's kind of what you get here. Whereas his earlier albums kind of mixed psych, Jimi Hendrix, and blues and hard rock all together. This album is just pure guitar-driven hard rock. You know, there's a couple of songs on here that are just nothing but jams. Let's see, Ain't Dead Yet, great song. Go Strange, great song. Crazy Miss Daisy, the title track is a classic. For a long time, I knew on Frank's website he said this was one of his least favorite albums, but I think he's kind of, you know, given up on that over the years because I don't really hear that, and I've also heard that he's been playing some of these songs live, so I'm not sure what it was he didn't like about it. Maybe he just didn't like being pushed. I know he hates the record cover. I kind of like it, and it was one of those ones that I grew up with, and I just think it's, I mean, come on, there's a guitar player just blowing away the crowd with his guitar playing. But I don't think that's ever was Frank's, idea of rock and roll. He wasn't trying to blow people away, and he wasn't trying to be, in your face. He just was wanting to play good music and be considered a musician, and a talented musician he is. So, Frank Marino, The Power of Rock and Roll. This is from 1981 on the CBS label, Columbia. And that's it for this edition of What's Spinning. So thank you all for watching. Thanks to those who requested me to do another edition of What's Spinning. I will get to do more. Just had so much going on with you know, showing No Life Till Metal stuff and showing new stuff that I just hadn't done one in a while. So I will try and get one done in my car and show some CDs off soon too. That's it. Thanks for watching. God bless. Stay strong.